Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to do a two-part video. So part one is going to be a short little clip testing the new Makro Simplex Plus out in the water. I'm very curious to see how it performs underwater. I'm curious to see how much stability it has once it has some wetness on the coil and on the unit itself. I'm curious to see if it floats or if it sinks. There's several things that I myself want to see, and so I thought I would bring you guys along and show you as I'm seeing them. I have not taken this machine in the water yet, so this is the first time that I've seen it, so you're seeing it just as I'm seeing it. Part two of the video, we're going to go back to the house and we're going to do another short little video on our test garden that we did with the XP versus the Simplex. I've had quite a few comments of people saying that basically my sensitivity either was too high or not high enough, it was too low or too high, I was in the wrong mode, I didn't ground balance. So I'm going to take everybody's comments and everybody's replies. I'm going to add them to the machine. I'm going to go through each setting, each mode in the machine, and we'll see how it performs again on each target that's buried in the ground to see if it makes a difference. And like I said before, guys, I am not downing this machine one bit. I love the Makro. I think it's a great machine. The fact that it's waterproof just adds a whole new benefit to the the metal detecting community, and the fact that it's just over 300 bucks is absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited to see if those settings will work in our test garden. But first, we're going to do a little water testing with it and see. So you guys hang on, we'll be right back. Okay guys, so I got the new Simplex Plus here, and as you can tell, I'm in a creek. Now there are not any relics in this creek. This is actually the creek that I fossil hunt in. So I thought, after I got done doing a little test here, I'd fossil hunt for a little while and see what I could find there. But I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to test out the Makro. Really, the weather is too chilly here in North Carolina. It's about 60 degrees. The water temperature is somewhere around 45 or 50. So it's a little chilly, to actually get in here and do any snorkeling or diving and looking for artifacts that are underneath the water. So today's test is simply just a water test to see how it does and reacts in the water. I would love to take y'all to a creek where I know there's some bullets and some buttons, but it's just simply too cold to be going under the water without a wetsuit on. And fat boy here has eaten too many loaves of bread and too many honey buns on the side, and I can't actually fit in my wetsuit anymore. So we're not going to do any relic hunting, but we are going to test out this machine. With that being said, let's go ahead and do some testing on it now. Okay guys, so the first thing, as you can see, the machine is dry other than a little bit of water on the coil. That's just where I was bringing it in here, but the rest of the machine is all dry. I have not had this machine in the water. I don't know how it's going to do in the water, and as I said in the beginning, you guys are seeing this just as I'm seeing this. So what the very first thing that I'm curious about is to know whether the machine will float or whether it will sink. And I guess the biggest test should be, will it turn on after it's submerged in the water? So I don't know what better way to do that than to just drop it right straight in the water and see what it does. So we'll look at the screen. The machine is off. The waterproof cap is on the connector back there. Let's just double check our plugs here to make sure everything's tight, even though I'm pretty sure that the plugs are waterproof. Everything looks good to go. So we're going to take this and we're just going to drop it right in the water and see what happens. You guys ready? Here we go. All right, well, okay, it was floating, but the handle filled up with water and it actually sank to the bottom. So I'm gonna leave it under there just a few more seconds. Make sure it's good and wet in there. All right, let's take it out and see if it turns on. Okay, it's cycling on. That's a good sign. And it is on. Okay guys, so now the next biggest thing to me is I want to see, now that it has been submerged and the machine is on, I want to see if it's chattery or if it's stable. Because as most of you guys know, anybody that water hunts with a machine, typically speaking, when you get the coil wet, they tend to have just a slight bit of chatter, but sometimes in right conditions, the chatter can actually drive you crazy. So how we're going to test this, we're just going to give it a good shake and see if it has any chatter with it. That's pretty impressive, actually. So it has just a very, very minute amount of chatter, but it is not even enough to even really notice. So that's definitely a plus in my book right there. Let's move on to the next test. All right, guys, so the next thing that I look at when I buy a water machine is how balanced the machine is in the water. So what better way to test it than to submerge it, and let's see how it feels. So the machine actually is very well balanced when it's in the water. The coil is of course heavier than the rear end and the remote, and it's actually very easy to swing. There's hardly no resistance swinging it either way, and it's actually very well balanced. I'm pretty impressed. Let's drop it again and see if it'll float now that it's extended. Nope, so it still sinks even when it's extended out. So I think what I need to do, I know in the first video I talked about taking this plug out so that the shaft would extend. However, I do quite a bit of water hunting, and I'm thinking maybe if I plug that hole now so no air can get in there, then this back portion will float. Or I might could put some kind of little flotation device on the back, but that would look kind of rinky dinky, you know, in my opinion. I basically need it when I'm hunting. I need it to be just like this. You know, I mean, of course it'll be tethered to my body, but it's still nice that when I need to recheck the hole, that I can just reach in here and grab the machine rather than having to go all the way underwater and grab it. But that's not that big a deal. I mean, I can get around that. I can work with that. So with that being said, let's move on to the next test. Okay, so this test, now I know that there's not any there's no relics in here, but now there is a bunch of cans in here. So I want to find a signal, and even though I don't have headphones on, I'm hoping I can find a signal and get a good judge of how the machine sounds, the sound of the machine, you know, the tone of the machine sounds while under the water. So there's a little bit of like mineralization right there. Like I say, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find anything or not, because this creek really it doesn't have any relics in it. It's just got fossils in it. I do not hear anything in my immediate location. Man, I'm like super impressed on how balanced this thing is in the water. I mean, I don't know if you guys have swung any other underwater machines or not, but the way that they are balanced, you know, at times they can have quite a bit of resistance against them, and it can make it, you know, rather hard to swing in deeper water. Okay, so I finally have a signal here. And like I say, I cannot recover this because, I mean, that right there is waist deep on me, and I'm 6'3", and it's way too cold to be going under the water to retrieve this. So I'm just curious to see, basically, A, how the machine sounds, you know, with the signal under the water, and B, how much the VDI numbers move with the coil under the water. I have noticed with other machines that when you do get a signal, at times the VDI tends to like jump all around, and I don't know if it's because the coil is wet or if it's because the way that the machine is transmitting while it's underwater. Not entirely sure on that one. I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer that. But I just wanted to see if the macro, how the VDI numbers responded to a signal with the machine submerged. And from what I can see right here, it's pretty daggone good. I mean, that was a pretty solid number, and I'm pretty impressed. So let's take a look at it I'm pretty impressed. So let's take a look at it one more time and listen to the tones. And actually, this could be a fishing lure, but let's look at it one more time and take a listen to the tones, and then we'll move on to the next test. Okay, so the last and final test that I can think of to do is the vibration option that this machine comes with. Now, I personally have never used a vibration in any machine that I've ever owned. None of them have ever come with that option. But now I can see where that capability can come in handy. You know, if it's compacted down and you're diving, you're in dark water, you know, you can't see the screen, you don't have a flashlight, you don't have any headphones on, you know, you can't really see the screen readout. I can see where a vibration mode in the handle would come in handy. So this is the first time that I've ever used this option. I have not tried it on this machine, so this is the first time that I have seen it, just like you guys are seeing it. So I'm gonna show you how to turn it on, and we're gonna turn it on and then test it out. So down here in the bottom right hand corner, there's a button with a gear on it, so you want to push that button. All right, that's going to take you into your options menu. So you want to push the button, continue to push the gear button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth bar over, it's going to have 3 little squiggly lines on it. So we're going to go back over there. Once you get on there, you're just going to push the plus button, which is the top right button, 1 time, and that puts you in vibration mode. So let's take a feel at how we're going to go over that same signal that we had over there. And I know you guys can't feel, but I'll try to explain it to you the best I can. Okay, that's not the signal I was on. There it is. Okay, well, my honest opinion on the vibration mode is I do like it. I like the fact that it vibrates. I think that is really freaking cool, actually. But it's not quite strong enough. It feels like the little motor in there that turns, that creates the vibration, is in the head unit. You know, up here somewhere, where my finger's at. So when it vibrates, you know, that vibration has to come down into the handle, and by the time it gets down here to where you're gripping and holding it at, it doesn't quite feel as strong as it should be. I mean, you can still feel it, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can feel the vibration. It's just very faint. It's not as strong as I wish it was. But you never know. You know, I know that this is a new machine, and you never know what you know, what Makro might come out with next to maybe fix or correct or make that little issue a little better. So I do like the vibration mode of that. All right, let's turn it off, and we'll talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to go pack up. We're going to go to the house, and we're going to do the land test in the test garden again. So hang on, guys, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that short little video of the underwater testing of the Makro. And again, I apologize that you know, we weren't able to dig any relics. It's just the water here is way too cold, and you know, I've been trying to get in the water since I got back from Pound the Ground, and I just have not been able to. It's rained a couple times, and then, you know, every time after it's rained, it seems that the temperature has dropped 10 degrees, and I mean, I got on a set of neoprene chest waders and my legs are still chilly. So, you know, I apologize that we can't get in here and dig any relics, but I thought it would still be a cool test to come out here and see how it actually works in the water, you know, and see how everything feels and operates while it's submerged underwater. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the Simplex Plus being submerged in the water. You know, the only thing that I really wish they would change was the vibration in the shaft. That is no big deal whatsoever. I may not ever even use the vibration mode. And I just wish there was some way, and I'll just have to research it and do a little product testing on it myself, but I wish there was some way that it would stay buoyant, you know, in the water. And I don't even know if filling that hole will prevent it from sinking. I just wish that, you know, at least the rear end would stay, you know, would float, you know, when you let the machine go. Other than that, absolutely no problems, and I guarantee you when summertime rolls back around, I will have this machine in the water looking for relics. So y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna get out of the water, gonna put my clothes, my shoes and pants back on, and we're gonna run to the house and do the test garden again in the backyard with the ORX and the Simplex, and we're gonna use the settings that several people have recommended that we try, and get that on video. So y'all hang tight. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay guys, we're back at the house, and as I told you before while we were in the water, we were going to do another test with the Simplex Plus in the test garden due to the fact of some of the comments and requests that we got feedback wise from our last video that we put out. So we're going to jump right into that, and we're going to go through basically each setting in the machine. We're going to hit the deepest target, and we're going to hit the target with the nails in it, and see if it corresponds any better with the settings that were recommended to us. So let's jump into that and take a look. Okay, here we go. So we're going to turn the machine on. Again, it's the bottom button right here. Push and hold it. Simplex will cycle on. And now it's on. Okay, so one of the comments that I got regarding the deepest piece right here, which is the buckle, which is, I think it was between 28 and 30 inches deep, was the fact that I didn't ground balance the machine. So let's go ahead and ground balance the machine. So I'll show you how to do that. So you go into your far right bottom button down here with a little gear on it. All right, you're going to push it 1, 2, twice. You're going to see the ground balance number pop up here. Now, as soon as that number pops up there, you're going to push and hold the pinpoint button, pump the coil up and down until it beeps. Once it beeps, that's your ground level. That's just basically ground balance. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So settings, 1, 2, push and hold pinpoint. Hear that beep? Now it's ground balanced. So let's swing over it. Sensitivity is on 1, 2, 3, 4 in relic mode over the buckle. So still not anything. Still don't hear, just that same iron grunt. Now let's turn the sensitivity all the way up, because that was another comment that we got, that the sensitivity wasn't turned up. So let's turn it all the way up as high as it'll go. And let's ground balance again, just to make sure. All right, it's ground balanced. Now let's do it again. It's just not hearing that that brass belt buckle with the lead backing in it. All right, so that's it for the buckle. As you can see, the other targets still hit just like they're supposed to, 90s, 80s. Let me find, okay, this target right here, this is the North Carolina military button that's full of nails in the hole. And as you can hear, it's in relic mode, and all you can hear is the iron. Now we were, basically I was reached out to by Makro. They recommended that I put the machine in park mode and run the sensitivity between settings 5 and wide open to see if it would hear the button in the hole with the nails. And I'll be honest with you, I've already tried it, but I did find out something that I did not know, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. So let's get into that. I'll show you how to get into park mode. We'll go through the sensitivity settings in there again. We'll ground balance again, and we'll swing over the signal and see what it sounds like in park mode. Let's take a look. Okay, so park mode is going to be the third mode from the left. It's got looks like some little rivers with some trees in the background. So to get to that setting, all you gotta do is push the plus arrow, the side button right here. So that cycles us into park mode. Factory sensitivity is on 4, so we're going to bump that up 1 time. We're going to go into settings twice. We're going to pump and ground balance. All right, we're going to wait for that to cycle back to park mode. And now we're going to swing over the same signal that we just swung over that you could hear in relic mode, where all you could hear was the nails. Let's try it and see. So sounds about the same, except there's just a bit of a high squeak in there. You can kind of hear it right there. Okay, now let's turn the sensitivity all the way up and try that. So very, I mean, that's a, you know, pretty dramatic change actually from the last time. You can definitely hear it that way, but you can also still hear the nails in there. Now, what I found is when I was out here experimenting, is if you go into the last setting over here, which is beach mode or water mode, whichever you want to call it. Let's cycle over there. Factory sensitivity is on 4. No need to reground mounts again. I've done it 3 or 4 times. So let's try it in beach mode and see what that same signal sounds like. That's with the sensitivity on 4. Now if we turn that up one more notch, you don't even hear the nails anymore. Let's turn it wide open and see what it sounds like. And no matter which way I swing on that target right there, you can't hear any nails. And just so nobody knows that I'm playing any tricks, I'm going to go right here and cycle back to relic mode. That's the same signal in relic mode, and all you can hear is iron grunts. So that is actually pretty dang impressive in my opinion for a $300 machine. You know, you can hear it in park mode, but it's kind of an iffy signal. You might dig it, you might not. But if you go over into beach mode, it's pretty much spot on. I mean, it's right there. VDI numbers are hitting 16, 18, 18, 19, they're staying right there within a couple of VDI numbers of each other. That is pretty dang impressive in my book. Okay, so as it turns out, those settings that were recommended to me by NoktaMakro actually turned out to make the machine perform better under the circumstances that we made the other day. Now, I'm in no way affiliated with NoktaMakro. They did not make me do this in any way, shape, or form. I myself was just curious to see if those settings would allow me to hear the targets in the iron better, as I do hunt a lot of colonial sites that are infested with iron, and I want to get the best out of that machine that I can possibly get, as I do with any machine. And you know, as I said in a previous video, I am not 100% confident with any machine until I use it for at least 6 months to a year. Man, you have to know your machine, you have to know how it performs, you have to know the VDIs, you have to know how it sounds to get the 100% best performance out of whatever machine you decide to use. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please click the subscribe button and drop me a thumbs up. And good luck on your adventures, and we'll see you guys next time.